thank you so much for coming tonight. We're really excited you're here at our investors meeting. We're going to talk to you a little bit about a new product that we've developed. It's called the iDrop. It's a fantastic new product. We're really excited about it today. But before I do that, I'm going to kind of walk you through a little scenario. I have been a diabetic for 19 years now. I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old, so I have lived the life of a diabetic for a while. And testing my blood sugar is not really that convenient. When I wake up in the morning, I test it. Before I eat, I test it. Before I go to sleep, I test it. And when I feel like I'm high or I'm low, in the blood sugar sense, I test my blood sugar. So if I am about to jump on the Creighton shuttle to get to class, I have to, have my book bag. I got everything with me. And all of a sudden, I start feeling low. My blood sugar's going down, and I'm not sure if it's high or if it's low, but usually I can tell when it's low. But I should probably check my blood sugar to make sure I am what I think I am. So I take out my little diabetes kit that I have here, and as you can see, it's not really that convenient. That's not the first time that's happened either. But anyways, that's my meter that I'm kind of kicking around right now. But what we have now is a new device. It's a new revolutionary product. It's going to change the way diabetics check their blood sugar. You don't have the kit anymore. You don't have the separate lancets. You don't have the lancing device. You don't even have the blood glucose meter. It's all in one now, and I'm going to tell you about it in just a minute. But before I do that, let me introduce my executive team. Right here to my left-hand side is Brianna Bry. She is a biology student at Creighton University. Sam, who is a law student and an MBA student at Creighton University. On my right, I have Jordan Robertson, who is a current MBA student and an engineer. And also Maura McGlynn, who is our occupational therapy at Creighton University. So let me tell you a little bit more about this device. The device itself is a tiny glucose meter. If you can see this, it's really, really, really small. It clips to the bottom of an iPod Touch or an iPhone. So essentially, it utilizes all of the functions of the iPhone and the applications that the iPhone has. Our device specifically will work in conjunction with Johnson & Johnson software, where that once you test your blood sugar on the device, it just clicks in right on the bottom. Once you test your blood sugar, you can input your exercise expenditure and your food intake, and then it'll give you a recommended insulin dosage. So it's super, super accurate. That's the first part of our product. The second part is really, really simple. It's easy to use. It has a built-in lancet, a built-in lancing device, and I'll let Jordan talk about that in just a minute. It has a strip receptacle, so your strips are right there in hand for you, and a little pocket to put this strip in. So I mean, it's all in one. There's nothing. You attach it to the bottom of your iPhone or your iPod Touch, and it's there. It can sit with you all day long. I can grab it when I'm on the Creighton shuttle, pop my finger, check my blood sugar. There's no kit. There's no mess. There's nothing. So let me turn it over now to Brianna, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about the market analysis of the iDrop.
Thank you, Steve. The risk of obesity is increasing at an unprecedented rate. By 2048, over half of the adult population will be either obese or overweight. 85% of people suffering from diabetes have type 2 diabetes, and obesity is a major cause of this. As you can see, from 1994 to 2003, diabetes has increased from less than 4% to greater than 6% in almost all of the states. Currently, the United States is spending $98.2 billion annually on this disease. The smartphone industry is also on the rise. To the right, you can see a pie chart of all the major competitors on the market. This is the global market. Please note that Apple has 8% of this market, but it holds 13.8% of the US market. You might also note that there's a competitor missing. As of a week ago, Dell just announced that it's coming out with its own smartphone. Currently, the US population is 305 million, and 60% of the population has a cell phone. And of the 60%, 20% of them are smartphones. That equates to 36.5 million people in the US having smartphones. iDrop is targeting people who have smartphones and also diabetes. As previously mentioned, 36.5 million people have smartphones, and 5% of the population have diabetes. Therefore, approximately 2 million people could benefit from iDrop. iDrop's price is anticipated to be $62 approximately, and this equates to about $130 million in revenue. Because 240 million people in the world have this disease, there are many competitors on the market. Here is a graphical, a chart for you comparing the competitors. For our purposes, we have grouped all the generic blood glucose monitors in the first category. We averaged the price of all of them and took the benefits of them, and that's what's summarized to the left. TheraSense is also another competitor. They have a blood glucose monitor in addition to a PDA. And Medtronic also has a continuous blood glucose system. iDrop's competitive advantage lies in its price. If you note, it's only $62 plus the iPhone or the iPod Touch, which is $200, which is significantly less than Medtronic, which is sitting at over $4,000 right now. Also, iDrop is very efficient. Your generic blood glucose monitors do not give you accurate blood glucose readings a lot of times. It's very portable because it's compact, as you saw with Steve. It's just one little device. And unlike any product currently on the market, it can give an insulin recommendation. And lastly, it's cool. Its sleek design appeals to businesswomen, businessmen, and teens alike. And I'll hand it over to Jordan to discuss the design. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. So what I want to talk about next is the design of the product. As Steve mentioned earlier, we had two goals in mind. It needed to be easy to use, and it needed to be all-inclusive. And so what you see right here on the screen is a design that we believe that achieves both of those goals. We designed this in AutoCAD, AutoCAD Inventor Professional 2010, and this is our working prototype right now. I'm going to describe how this device works. On the left side here, this is where the testing strips are held, so you can just pop open this lid, pull the testing strips out. On the right, this is where the lancet is, so you can prick your finger. Upon placing the blood that comes from your finger onto the strip, you just place it in this middle slot right here, and it reaches your glucose level on the iPhone itself. What's innovative about this design is that it takes advantage of the iPhone's processing power, so it's able to save a lot of space. So previously, where Steve showed you this kit about this size, we're able to go from, I guess, this to something a little bit larger than this. Next, I want to introduce Mara, who's going to talk about the intellectual property.
Thanks, Jordan. Okay, as far as intellectual property goes, we believe that our patent is patentable. We've talked to several different IP experts as to our ability to patent and how we would go about doing this. On the screen right here, we have three of the patents that have the most similar components to ours, but we believe that we can differentiate our patent from these and we'll be able to patent it. As far as existing trademarks go, Apple owns the I name, but since we will work in conjunction with their product and since we promote their product, we don't think that it would be an issue. Okay. Reimbursement, since the iDrop is a glucose monitor, it is reimbursable by insurance, by private insurance, and then by Medicare and Medicaid. And then we're discussing with Carol Geary, who is a former J&J employee and reimbursement specialist, and she is putting us in contact with J&J personnel who conduct clinical trials. And then for regulations, the FDA considers what the iDrop is as a second-class device. Before putting our product on the market, we would have to file a 510K form. And we would have to collect a small amount of data to compare to establish substantial equivalence. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sam, who's going to take care of financials.
As Moore said, I have the pleasure of discussing financials. If I can direct your attention to the top of the chart here, this is our cash outflow timeline. We have four main phases. In phase one, we're just looking at formation of our company and securing the intellectual property. We've done most of the footwork for a provisional patent. Moving on to phase two, we can move into the actual prototype development. As you can see, we've done some strong groundwork in that area too, having Jordan develop an actual prototype on the CAD software. And then moving into phase 3, we actually move into the prototype testing, where we'll have to gather a little bit of data in order to satisfy very substantial equivalence requirements associated with the 510K. And then after that comes the fun part where we try and license it. Right now we've been looking at Johnson & Johnson, since they have a very helpful software, and it would be advantageous to license with them, but we are willing to explore any potential licensee as well. The total cash outflow is just over $240,000. The good part, though, is our revenue, the cash inflow. We have here our estimated revenue equation. We take the market size, which, as Bree mentioned, is currently just over about 2 million people, multiply it by the iDrop price of about $62.50, and multiply that by a monthly growth rate to give the total revenue for the iDrop device, and then multiply that by our license rate with Johnson & Johnson or some other licensee, which we've estimated at probably around 5%. That gives us a total cash inflow of just over $3.2 million. Please note, though, that these are really grossly conservative estimates. They ignore very substantial factors such as the world market. Most of these figures are computed just on the US, and so there's a huge potential to expand, especially to Europe, but the world in general. And it also ignores the fact that many people may be prompted to go and purchase an iPod just to utilize our device, and we haven't taken those people into consideration either. Additionally, there are other factors. It's very likely that we'll be able to negotiate a license term longer than 3 years or greater than 5%. This here is a graphical representation of our cash outflow, cash inflow. The first bottom line here is the cash outflow, as I mentioned, about $240. The cash inflow doesn't start till after the first year, because that's when we will actually be able to license our product, or around that time. And this is just over the $3.2 million mark, as we mentioned, though we do believe that is a conservative estimate. So here's where you guys come in. What we are seeking is approximately $240,000 initial investment. We are willing to offer 50% equity in the fees from licensing the iDrop device, which is approximately a $1.6 million return on the investment. That is just under 7-fold return, which is a pretty great deal. I will turn it over to Steve now. We look forward to working with you, and he's going to wrap it up for us.
Great. Well, let me talk to you a little bit about the critical risks and opportunities for the iDrop. Some of the critical risks are Medtronic, as Bree had mentioned, as a competitor. They are currently not on the market yet, but they're really, really close. As well as some of the patent challenges we're going to go through is we can't have as broad of a patent as we'd like, as Maura had spoke, but we do feel like we are in a good position to at least get a patent. Opportunities is partnering with Apple, which is a tremendous company, and we feel like this would be a great opportunity. How could they say no for people wanting to buy more iPods and iPhones, right? And expanding into the European market, as Sam had just mentioned, we have just looked at the U.S. so far, and I mean, even for that fact, the world market. So I mean, there's a lot of potential opportunities for our product. Before I close the presentation tonight, I'd like to say thank you to my executive team. Although this is a little bit of a comical picture, I would like to point out that my team is a fantastic team, and I'd like to thank Sam and Bree and Maura and Jordan for everything that they've done, because they've really done a tremendous job. And also, one other person, our mentor and teacher, Dr. Ann York. She has been a tremendous wealth of resource, and she's a fantastic woman. We thank you so much for it. So, what do we do now? At this point, we need your investment. We need to continue. We feel like this is a fantastic product that's going to revolutionize the way that diabetics check their blood sugar. Thank you for listening to our presentation.